There is one act of kindness at the center of Les Misérables, so small in the grand scope of a 1900-page novel that it would be easy to miss, and yet it changes the entire course of every single event that follows. Victor Hugo builds his massive, sprawling epic around a single question. What happens to a person when someone finally chooses to see them as more than their worst moment? The answer, played out across decades, revolutions, and an entire cast of desperate, struggling lives, is why this novel has spent over a century and a half quietly convincing readers that redemption is always still possible, no matter how far someone has already fallen. Because underneath the barricades, the chase scenes, and the sweeping historical backdrop of post-revolutionary France, Les Misérables is really an argument about the human soul, about whether a person should be defined forever by their lowest moment or given room to become something more. Hugo doesn't just tell us mercy matters, he builds an entire fictional world to prove it, letting us watch, in painstaking detail, exactly what one act of grace can set into motion across an entire lifetime. Today, we're pulling 5 lessons out of this towering, deeply moral novel, lessons on justice, mercy, and what it actually means to be given another chance. 1. Mercy can do what punishment never could. Jean Valjean spends 19 years in prison for stealing a loaf of bread, and by the time he's released, the world has made his verdict on him permanent, a yellow passport marking him as a former convict, doors closed in his face, suspicion following him into every inn and doorway. Desperate and embittered, he steals silver from the one man who shows him kindness, Bishop Muriel, and is caught by the police almost immediately. What happens next is the hinge on which the entire novel turns. The bishop tells the police the silver was a gift, then hands Valjean even more, asking only that he use it to become an honest man. 19 years of punishment did nothing to reform Jean Valjean. One act of undeserved mercy does what an entire prison system couldn't. Hugo isn't being naive here. He's making a genuinely radical argument about human nature. Punishment can force compliance, but it rarely produces transformation. Mercy, offered at exactly the moment someone least deserves it and most needs it, has a way of reaching parts of a person that punishment can never touch. Valjean spends the rest of his life trying to become worthy of a kindness he never earned in the first place. 2. A person is not only the worst thing they've ever done. Even after his transformation, French society refuses to let Jean Valjean simply become a better man. His past follows him everywhere in the form of that yellow passport, a permanent label insisting that whoever he is now, he will always first be understood as a criminal. Valjean eventually breaks his parole and reinvents himself under a new name, building a life of genuine, quiet goodness as a factory owner and mayor, good works that would mean nothing to the society that already decided years earlier exactly who he was allowed to be. And if this story, this sweeping, this morally urgent, is already pulling something out of you, you don't need to track down the physical book to experience it. You can listen to Les Misérables as an audiobook through Amazon Audible, at work, during your commute, or in any of those moments in the day when sitting down with a physical book just isn't realistic. Right now, you can try the subscription for practically nothing, and I'll leave the link down in the description if you'd like to give it a try. 3. Mercy can do what justice without mercy can become its own kind of cruelty. Inspector Javert spends the entire novel pursuing Valjean with a relentlessness that borders on obsession, utterly convinced that the law is the law, that a criminal is a criminal, and that no amount of subsequent goodness can ever change what a person once was in the eyes of justice. He isn't a cartoonish villain. He's disciplined, principled, even admirable in his devotion to order, and that's exactly what makes him so unsettling. Javert represents a version of justice with absolutely no room in it for context, growth, or grace. Hugo uses Javert to ask a question far bigger than one man's pursuit of one escaped convict. What happens when a society's idea of justice becomes so rigid that it can no longer recognize a genuinely changed human being standing right in front of it? Javert isn't wrong that Valjean broke the law.
He's wrong in believing that fact should be the only thing anyone is ever allowed to see. The novel suggests that justice, stripped entirely of mercy, doesn't actually protect anyone. It simply becomes another kind of cruelty dressed up in the language of order.
4. Grace extended to others is grace you once received yourself. Late in the novel, Valjean finally has Javert completely at his mercy during the chaos of the barricades, the one man who has hunted him for decades, now utterly powerless in front of him. And instead of taking the revenge that seems both available and justified, Valjean simply lets him go. It's a direct echo of the mercy the bishop once showed Valjean himself, passed forward decades later to the one person who least expects and least deserves to receive it. This moment is Hugo's clearest statement on how mercy actually spreads in the world, not through law, not through policy, but through individual people choosing to extend a grace they once received, often to someone who has given them every reason not to. Valjean doesn't spare Javert because Javert deserves it. He spares him because he remembers, viscerally, what it felt like to be shown mercy he didn't deserve either. It's a debt that can never really be repaid to the person who gave it, only carried forward again and again to someone else. 5. Redemption isn't a single moment, it's a lifetime of choosing again. Javert, faced with the unbearable reality that a man he spent his entire life hunting has just shown him a mercy his worldview has no room for, is so shattered by the contradiction that he takes his own life shortly afterward, unable to reconcile the rigid justice he's devoted his whole existence to with the grace he's just been given. Valjean, meanwhile, continues quietly doing what he's done since the night the bishop handed him those candlesticks, choosing goodness again and again and again for the rest of his life, long after any single dramatic moment of transformation. That contrast is the final, quietly devastating lesson of the entire novel. Redemption was never a single event for Valjean, not the theft, not the bishop's mercy, not even sparing Javert's life. It was a lifetime of small, repeated choices to keep becoming the man he was told just once he was capable of being. Hugo seems to suggest that being given another chance only matters if you keep choosing to use it day after day, long after anyone is still watching to see whether you will. Before we close this one, if Valjean's long, difficult road towards goodness has moved you even a little, remember that you don't need the physical book to experience Les Misérables for yourself. The full audiobook is available through Amazon Audible, so you can experience Hugo's sweeping, morally urgent story during your commute, at work, or in any moment when sitting down with a physical copy simply isn't possible. The trial subscription is practically free right now, and you'll find the link waiting for you in the description below. In the end, Les Misérables isn't really a novel about crime or revolution or even the decades-long chase between one man and the law that hunts him. It's a novel about what becomes possible when someone is finally given room to be more than their worst moment, and what it costs and what it's worth to spend a lifetime honoring that chance. Hugo doesn't promise us an easy world. He simply insists that mercy, extended even once, can echo forward through an entire life and every life it touches after that. Remember to subscribe, comment, like, and see you next time.